guys, today I'm really excited to be making one of my favorite pasta recipes I've ever had in a restaurant in my kitchen, and I know that you're going to love this recipe too. Today we're going to be making pink sauce rigatoni, and this recipe is inspired by Mama D's in Newport in California. Now, if you've been to Mama D's in California, you know that the pink sauce is where it's at. They have a huge menu with lots of different sauce and pasta options. They have a really popular chicken parm, but the most popular thing to get there is the pink sauce and served on rigatoni. It's really easy to make at home, so creamy, so delicious. I promise your whole family is going to love it, and so are you. Let's begin. We're gonna chop up half of this large yellow onion and cook it in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil in the Dutch oven. You can use a large pot too. My onions are chopped, so I'm gonna put them into my Dutch oven with the 2 tablespoons of olive oil and cook them for about 5 minutes until they're soft and translucent. Okay, while our onions are cooking, let's talk tomatoes. I've learned over the past few years in making a lot of dishes, especially pasta with tomatoes, that the higher quality you buy, the better. You can really taste the difference. You can definitely use whatever you have, but I recommend for this recipe using San Marzano tomatoes. I am using a 28 ounce can. You can use crushed. I prefer the whole peeled tomatoes because I feel like the flavor is better. So I'll show you in a minute, but what I like to do is kind of dump the juice and then break up the tomatoes with my hands. We will eventually use our immersion blender to make sure the sauce is nice and creamy and smooth, but I do like to break it up with my hands so that it gets cooked evenly. Onions are looking good. They smell amazing. We're gonna let them soften up a little bit more and then add a minced clove of garlic. So we're gonna add a clove of garlic to this. I really prefer using actual garlic instead of jarred garlic. I think the flavor is way better, but you could also use like a half or full teaspoon of jarred garlic if that's what you have. So put your clove on the cutting board and then put the blade flat against it and really firmly just flatten it and crush it like that. And then you don't have to worry about getting that garlicky smell all over your fingers. It just comes right out. And now we're just gonna mince our garlic clove so it's in really small pieces. The onions and garlic are cooked, they're so fragrant, and now I'm gonna put my tomatoes in. You should leave your pot or Dutch oven on the range, but I wanted to show you guys how I'm doing this. So I just take the lid off my can and I will kind of let a lot of those juices come through. And then this is what each of the tomatoes look like. The San Marzano tomatoes have amazing flavor. So I'll just kind of use my fingers and lower them into the pot so I don't get them everywhere and just kind of break it up. So this is what I'm doing. I'm kind of just kneading them a little bit gently and dropping them in. They don't need to be completely like smooth or crushed. We're just releasing the juices from the middle and breaking the tomato up a little bit. I'm gonna put this back on the heat. We're going to bring it to a rolling or soft boil and then lower the temperature to low where we'll cook it for about 30 minutes. In the meantime, I'm gonna heat up my pasta water and cook the pasta. It usually takes about 20 minutes for my pasta water to come to a boil and then about 10 minutes or less to cook that pasta. Tomatoes are smelling amazing. We've got them at a nice soft boil almost. So I'm just gonna go ahead and lower the heat and then add some salt. I like to do 2 teaspoons of sea salt. Stir it in. And let this cook for about 30 minutes. We are getting really close to being done with our tomatoes and dropping that pasta in the hot water. So let's prep our ingredients that make our red sauce a pink sauce. At Mama D's, all they add to their tomato sauce is heavy cream and parm. That's it. And it makes this sauce so rich and creamy and indulgent, and you're going to love it. It's so good. So I've got my cream. I'm gonna set that aside. Let's talk about parm real quick. I highly recommend grating your own parm. I like to use this microplane zester. Oftentimes when you buy the cheese that's pre-grated, it has a lot of preservatives and it just doesn't taste as good. I get a big block of parm once every month or two at Costco. It's really affordable and good quality. So this is what I recommend. We need about a cup of parm. So I'm just going to use this and grate it over my cutting board. That is a nice little arm workout. You can totally grate a little bit extra and set it aside if you want to sprinkle it on top. This pasta is really rich though. I don't think it needs extra parm on top, but up to you. Let's check on the stuff in the stove. Our rigatoni is in the pot with boiling salty water. I do try to stir it up every once in a while just to make sure that the pasta doesn't stick to the bottom. And again, we're going for an al dente pasta here. Here are our tomatoes. They're getting really close to being done. I'm gonna grab my immersion blender to show you guys how I make this nice and smooth. This tomato sauce smells absolutely amazing. I'm gonna show you really quick how I use my immersion blender just to make it nice and smooth. You can totally use a regular blender if you want, but you will want to let it cool for a few minutes before you blend it. Otherwise, the top of your blender is just gonna pop off from the heat and the blending of all the ingredients. Now, there is not a ton of tomatoes and sauce in here, so I like to tilt mine forward so I can kind of get everything in a deep puddle, and then I blend. And I'll just do that several times. And I really do want this nice and smooth. Again, you could use crushed tomatoes and you'll be able to skip this step, but I really do believe that the flavor is better when you're using those whole peeled tomatoes. It's time to turn this beautiful red sauce into a pink sauce. I'm going to add the heavy cream, the cheese. Our pasta is almost done being cooked. Once it is, we'll throw in the pasta and a cup of pasta water and we will be ready to go. Oh my goodness. This is probably my favorite part. My pasta is almost done, so I'm just gonna get that pasta water. Oops. Okay, that's about perfect. A cup straight into the rest of my sauce. This will make sure that your sauce is nice and still creamy, but not super thick, and coats all of the pasta really nicely. So I just dumped my pasta in here, and I'm just going to stir it all so it's coated with the sauce. And I'm just gonna let it cook for a minute. My pasta is pretty much all the way cooked. I cannot wait any longer, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my first bite of this pink sauce rigatoni. That is so good. It's the perfect combination of both creamy and tomatoey. I love the way the sauce coats both the outside and the inside of the rigatoni. I think my toddler wants a bite as well, so I'm gonna wrap this up. You guys are gonna absolutely love this recipe. Let me know if you make it, and thank you so much for watching.